Hello, my name is Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR. I thought today we could talk about the water cycle. Let me open up my index cards. So, the water cycle. Something I've been thinking about a little bit today because we've had some rain, but also a lot of dryness in our area. A little of both, and tons of winds because of Hurricane Beryl working its way around the country. So the water cycle consists of evaporation. Am I gonna have room? Just a minute. Condensation. I'm not gonna fit that. Oh boy, this word's really long. How do you spell it? Precipitation. And collection. So evaporation is when the water evaporates from the water sources on Earth and goes into the sky. And then the condensation is when it condenses in the clouds until it gets to be heavy enough that you have rain in the form of precipitation. And then it once again collects onto the ground and into the groundwaters. And so it's the cycle. Evaporation to condensation to precipitation to collection. Precipitation, collection. So I thought maybe we could draw a little visual. So you have your lakes and your oceans and your rivers, groundwater, your water sources, lakes and oceans, biggest of them. And they evaporate. Into the clouds and become clouds in the sky. And then the clouds, once they're heavy with water, or if the weather, heat and cooling change that cause them to condense, they will condense and create droplets or hail that will fall. P.S. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an artist. I just looked it up in the Boy Scout handbook. Here come the raindrops down. So this is the evaporation, condensation. The raindrops are the precipitation. And then the rain collects into rivers, into the rock, and it seeps through into the water table, and then into lakes and into the ocean. That all looks right. So, this is evaporation. Well, that didn't work. Evap. Condensation. Precipitation. And collection. I didn't know how to shorten that. I guess I could have done coal. I guess so. So that's the basics. That is the water cycle. But I won't end the video here because we can look stuff up in our books. But it's always kind of interesting to me because the water goes from here up to here and just keeps going around. And so the same water is just constantly being, cycled through. So like the water that you're drinking today, a triceratops may have drunk and peed out at some point. Isn't that cool? And I always think about when I lived in Arizona. Actually, here, hold on. Sorry, I should have prepped for this. I didn't know I was going to talk about it. But I lived in... Let's just see here. Well, for those of you who aren't familiar so much with the U.S., Arizona is right here. And I lived near Phoenix in a town called Mesa, Arizona. It's got to be right here, right? This is alphabetical. Hold on one second. Let me just flip. Alaska, Arizona. Okay. Oh man, it's right at the split, but okay. So here's Phoenix. Here's Mesa, where I lived. I worked at the Red Lobster in Mesa, in case anybody was there in the 90s. But what I was going to say about it is when we lived there back in the 90s, they would talk about, being very careful, watering your grass, doing that in the middle of the night. And they were really pushing, was it called xeriscape? No grass, which is so much smarter out in the desert. And I kind of always wondered, well, if it just cycles around, why would it be a problem? If I water the grass, it goes into the water system. So I did look that up. And I know, it's probably common sense to most people, but sometimes I don't have the common kind of sense. But Arizona has a super arid climate, meaning really dry and hot. And between that, and there's just been a huge population boom, not just in Arizona, but in the cities upstream of the Colorado River, which is where a lot of the water for the desert communities comes from, the Colorado River. And there's a lot more farming going on, which needs lots of irrigation, especially in such an arid place. And so there's an overuse of the groundwater, and the Colorado River is just getting smaller and smaller because it's being kind of siphoned off all the way down, but also there isn't as much water in it because of the population using so much more water. And then, so there just isn't, for the amount of population that's going into these communities, they're worried there won't be enough water to maintain them if things keep going the way they are. So, I guess, like I said, I was always a little confused by cycle, but I guess if you're, putting the water over farms all out everywhere and you have so much more population growth, the water gets transferred to different places instead of being where, the Colorado River is or the water table, it's being transferred out. I think that's right. I think I was understanding that. And they said that plants, like that they're irrigating, they release water vapor, and it makes up to 10% of the moisture in our environment is from plants releasing water vapor. But like those plants are spread out all over, so it just changes sort of the dynamic, I guess. I made a mess of my thing. Oh well. So I thought we could if I can pick these up, take a look at this Boy Scout handbook real quick. I think when I flipped through this in some video before I forget, I should flip through the whole thing because it's actually pretty interesting. I saw this thing about the water cycle, and that's what kind of had me thinking about it. Let's see. Oh, this is fun. I feel like it was up here somewhere. Maybe after this video, we should flip through this. Oh, I know what we looked through this for was the flag. I did a video on how to fold a flag and just like how to care for your flag. Actually, I think that's a pretty good video if you're interested. Mirror badges. Wait, no, I know I saw it in here. I guess I could look it up in the table. Contents. Water accidents. Activities, water cycle, 325. What did that say? 325. Oh, we must be right by it. Good grief. We were right by it. I've lost my mind. I know there was a visual. Kind of like the one I drew. I saw it. Okay. Protect your world. What you can do. Many lakes are dying from being overnourished with runoffs from farms, city sewage, and industrial waste. You know, that's one of the things in lakeside communities. They use, they tout that they're using organic fertilizers for the garden for your lawns, but a lot of times those organic fertilizers are still way too much nutrients for the lakes, so then the lakes become just green with algae and things that aren't really good for all the fish. So you do have to be careful. I know there was a visual in here. Anyway, whatever. But this is where I saw it. Oh well, what did they say? What you can do about water. Get your patrol, because this is a Boy Scout. Interested in cleaning up a section of a stream or part of a lake. Protect your feet with sneakers. Now remember, this book is from, I think it's from 1980. So they didn't have all the protections for our waterways in place yet. So things were really, really gross in a lot of places. There was a lot of waste being dumped into our waterways. For dishwashing and laundering in camp, use soap, not detergent. Soap breaks down in nature and disappears. I think they're talking about like ivory soap. It's made with lye. Do not wash with soap in streams or lake. Carry water inland 100 feet or more and wash there. Do your toothbrushing right in camp, not in a stream or lake. At home, turn faucets off tightly. 1 drop a second wastes 25 liters or 6.5 gallons in 24 hours. I have a drippy sink in my basement. I have been collecting the water and using it to water a plant. But see, that's where I wonder, well, if it's a cycle, why should it matter? But I guess it takes it out of where it belongs and puts it into a new place where maybe it's not as effective. I don't know. I should look that up more. Keep a plastic bottle of water in the refrigerator so that you do not have to let the tap run to get cool water. Okay. Cut a half-gallon plastic bottle in two. Place the lower part in the bottom of the toilet tank. In a family of 4, the water you save will amount to 500 liters or more a month. We used to, well, I don't actually remember if my family did this, but I remember them telling you to put a brick in your tank of your toilet to take up some of the space of the water. But I think now, since the 1980s, a lot of toilets are low flow, so they don't use anywhere near the kind of water the old toilets did. Although I still have toilets in my house, some of them that are from the 1950s, so I should probably look at those. Shower with the plug in the bathtub. What? Compare the amount of water with the amount you use for a bath. Which method uses less water? Oh, I see. Yeah, I definitely would probably use more in a shower. Well, it depends on how deep your bathtub is, but I tend to take long showers. Shower the water-saving way. Wet yourself, turn off the water, lather up, then rinse first in warm water, then in cooler water. I used to take what they call a James Bond shower, where you how I do, I don't know, you shower and then at the end put it like on cold water, and it makes you go, it wakes you right up. It's supposed to be good for your immune system or something. When you brush your teeth, turn the water on and off as you need it. Do not let it run unnecessarily. Okay, guys, I have a question for the world. I always brush my teeth with cold water or cool water. But I have recently learned that there are people within my own family who brush their teeth with hot water. Hot water for brushing. Is this a thing? I was shocked. Anyway, if you have a garden to water in late afternoon or evening so that evaporation will not waste water. The plants will have the whole night to benefit. Yeah, I try to do that. I have a tree that the city planted in my front yard, but it's my job to not let it die. And it started getting like red leaves. So I read that you have to give it iron. So I've been watering it with iron in the water, and it's really coming back. It looks a lot better. Where were we? Water cycle. See, I don't understand this. I swear I saw a picture, and now I'm not seeing it. It's making me feel like cuckoo bananas right now. Oh, well. I'm sure the picture wouldn't show anything that I didn't really accurately draw for you earlier, so. But seriously, I don't know. Here's all the oh look, here it is. So what do they show? They show streams into the ocean. They show the groundwater going out into the ocean, and it percolates through the dirt and mud and everything. And then they show evaporation, and with the plants, transpiration. Transpiration is when plants release water. That's what that's called. I couldn't think of that word. So evaporation and transpiration goes up into the clouds, and airflow could move that around, so it goes to different places. And then rain comes down in the form of precipitation, and then that starts the cycle all over again. I think their picture may be better than my picture. Tough call. Okay, so that's the Boy Scout Handbook. Now this book is from the 1950s, and it's called Eric Sloane's Weather Book. And it is a book really made for sailors. But my husband, when he was a kid, had a dream of being a meteorologist. So much so that he went to the Navy's, recruitment office when he was like 17 and said, "Do you have a program for meteorology?" And they said, "No, we don't." Is that crazy? I was like, well, why wouldn't the Navy have a program? But anyway, so there you go. But I thought this book might have something to look at. One day we'll have to just go through it. So it's really about how to tell what the weather's going to be for sailing by looking at it. Because, of course, this is from the 50s. So it was before, you had phones and stuff to look at. The average top of the weather is that far away. But the sky is not limitless. I don't know what they're showing there. Moisture clouds and storms only occur within the troposphere. Base of the stratosphere, so below the stratosphere. 1/2 of all air and 90% of moisture is packed into this area. So the clouds, that's something interesting about clouds, is they're actually super heavy because they're full of water. I mean, that's what they are. So they look like white and puffy, but they're actually like packed with water. And I think this cloud might be a sorry, I'm trying to think how to say it. Cumulonimbus. Cumulonimbus, is that how you say that? But it's the kind of cloud that turns into a thunderhead. And you can see them. Like if you see the big white puffy cloud, it looks like really white and puffy. But it gets this, like, hold on, let me get a piece of. It gets like a, kind of like what they're showing. It'll be all puffy. And then it'll grow like a big fluffy top on it. If you see that in the distance, that's a thunderstorm. That's a thunderstorm waiting to happen. Sometimes, like, I do a lot of road trips, and when you're driving, you can see those up ahead, and you're like, oh no. Or I remember one time I was backpacking, and we saw one. And luckily it never came towards us, but I was like, oh boy, that's a thunderstorm. Anyway, let's see. They're talking about the centrifugal force of the Earth. The troposphere. I've never even heard this word. The troposphere is 5 miles here, yet swings out by the Earth's spin to 10 miles high here. Oh, so it's less here and more here because of the rotation of the Earth, causing cloud height averages to differ. I wonder if that's why, like, up towards Alaska, I think thunderstorms are super rare. Maybe. That's what somebody told me when I was in Alaska. But they didn't say why. Look, he like highlighted stuff. Maybe we should go through and read all his highlighted stuff, see what he was learning. Yeah, this looks kind of interesting, but it's definitely, oh, look, he's talking about a barometer. I just shared a video in the community page that I did probably, almost a year ago about a barometer I have, and how it works. I wonder what this is. Ooh, you can check the air pressure. All right, I don't know that this actually is going to have any weather. Let's take a quick look through it and see. Oh, here's the wispy cirrus, the cobwebby cirrostratus, the rippled sand cirrocumulus, and the veil cloud, a false cirrus. And then here is a towering thunderhead with liquid droplets. And above that is ice particles. That's the other thing about, the water cycle. It can include hail and snow. And that's why a lot of the water in the earth is locked up in glaciers. But if they melt, we'll have far too much. And speaking of that, most of the Earth's water, and the reason why I have this here, is in the form of salt water. Like you can see that almost all the Earth's water is salt water. There's only I think I read 2.5% of the Earth's water is fresh water. So that's kind of interesting. Let's see, what are we seeing here? Area invaded by cold air mass, and this is the warm area about to be invaded. And because this cold front's coming in, it's creating this thunderhead. I think that's making lightning. There's a line squall. So if you were sailing, if you were in your little boat and saw that, you better get the hell out of Dodge, man. Line squall. Look here, these guys are. This is how a line squall looks to a sailor. There's a blow coming. Yeah, guys, paddle your way out of there. All right, I don't think this has so much. Well, here are the clouds. We'll have to do a whole video just on clouds because that's interesting. Oh my goodness, here's a thunderhead. Here's a little boat. Are they saying that's a thunderhead? Because that looks like a thunderhead. The second drawing, B, shows a full-grown, I'm going to say this wrong, I feel like this word's cumulus, with downdraft spilling over the top and feeding the cloud again from the bottom. Notice that relative humidity at sea level this day is 50%, and naturally the relative humidity at dew point height will be 100%. It's a good drawing to take along with you when you're lolling on deck. Huh. Maybe it's not a thunder, then I don't know. Here's the warmed land area. And then this is going up into the cloud. The cloud's moving this way and disintegrating. Huh. I don't know. I don't know. Water droplets. Oh yeah, ice particles. Okay, well, that's kind of a little different. That's talking mostly about wind, and there was something in here. Can I open this? Let me see. I gotta get it outside of my camera. Hold on. Guys, I got a new top that broke. I wrote to the company, and they sent me a new one. Which they should, because it just broke. I go through this atlas real quick. I mean, look at all that salt water. Almost all the Earth's surface, really, isn't it? Just flip through a little bit. Flip, all the water. Look at that. Oh, and here are the poles, which have a lot of frozen ice, but it's starting to melt. Did a little video with some of this, with the planets. How to remember the planets, but I think I messed it up. Okay, on this page, they have Earth's extremes. So they have like just different extremes. But I noticed they had these. Hold on, let me just. Oof. Okay. Deepest point in each ocean. This doesn't have to do with the water cycle, just water. Just a little bit about water. Anyway, okay. Do you guys know the deepest point in each of the ocean? Okay, first we'll do the deepest, which is the Pacific Ocean. And the deepest point is called the Challenger Deep. And it is 35,994 feet. Do they show it on our map? I don't. There's a Pacific Challenge. I don't think they show it. They should have it marked. Anyway, okay. The next deepest is in the Atlantic Ocean. And it is, I'll give you a minute to think. It is the Puerto Rico Trench at 28,232 feet. The next deepest is in the Indian Ocean. And it comes in at 23,372 feet. And it is called the Java Trench. And then the fourth deepest is in the Arctic Ocean. It is 18,599 feet deep in the Arctic Ocean. And it is called the Malloy Deep. The area of each ocean. Do you guys know what the largest ocean is? It is the Pacific. And it measures 65,000. Sorry. Is that 65 million? 436,200 square feet. Wow, that's big. That is big. Okay. And then next is the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and then the Arctic. Okay, but what we want to look at over here, because I did a video all about the Great Lakes, and there was discussion, I believe, in the comments about the largest lake. And according to this, the largest lakes by area: number 1, the Caspian Sea. Number 2, Lake Superior. Number 3, Lake Victoria. Number 4, Lake Huron. Number 5, Lake Michigan. Number 6, Lake Tanganyika. Number 7, Lake Baikal. Number 8, Great Bear Lake. Number 9, Lake Malawi. I don't know. And then it says Lake Nyasa. I'm not sure. Number 10, Great Slave Lake. So, largest drainage basins: the Amazon, the Congo, Mississippi, Missouri, Parana, and places I don't know if I'll say correctly. Longest river, the Nile, the Amazon, Shangjian or the Yangtze, Mississippi. Well, anyway, so just some little water facts. Look at all that water. Water everywhere. And never a drop to drink. Well, let's take a look in some of these other encyclopedias that I have right here, I think. and just see if they say anything. This one I have found to be kind of useless, to be honest, when I've looked stuff up in previous videos, but we shall see. What do we look up? Water cycle. They have water table. In geology, level below which the ground is saturated, the height of the water table gradually changes, moving up or down depending on recent rainfall. Water located below the water table is called groundwater. What else do they say? Just about water in general. Water, odorless, colorless liquid, H2O, that covers about 70% of the Earth's surface and is the most widely used solvent. Essential to life, it makes up 60 to 70% of the human body. It is a compound of hydrogen and oxygen with the two HO links of the molecule forming an angle of 105 degrees. This asymmetry results in polar properties and a force of attraction, or a hydrogen bond, between opposite ends of neighboring water molecules. These forces maintain the substance as a liquid in spite of its low molecular weight, and account for its unusual property of having its maximum density at 39 degrees Fahrenheit or 4 degrees Celsius. So, there you go with water. A little bit about water. Let's see, what else do they have about water? They have watermelon, watermill, water moccasin, water polo, water skiing. So, not a lot. All right. Let's see what other books I have here. Oh my gosh, this one's heavy. Hold on. Let me set this over here out of the way. Some of these encyclopedias, oh my gosh, they weigh 100 pounds. Family Reference Atlas. I don't think this is going to have anything. Global Health. You would think it might, but I don't think it does. Let's see if under World Energy they have water. Solar steam. Geothermal power plants pipe steam and hot water from the ground to make electricity. The world's largest installation, the geysers, is in California. Oh, there's something about water. Minerals. Health and education. Environmental stresses. Okay. Water scarcity. Look, we found something. Shortages of drinking water are increasing in many parts of the world, and studies indicate that by the year 2025, shit, that's next year, hold on. What does this say? What year is this published? 2002. So see, it's always 20 years in the future, they think, but let's see what they say. 1 billion people in northern China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Egypt, Tunisia, and other areas will face absolute drinking water scarcity. But water is also needed by industry and agriculture, in hydroelectric power production, and for transport. With increasing populations, industrialization, and global warming, the situation can only worsen. Water scarcity has already become a major brake on development in many countries, including Poland, Singapore, and parts of North America. In countries where artisan wells are pumping groundwater more rapidly than it can be replaced, water is actually being mined. In river basins where water is shared by several jurisdictions, social tensions will increase. Yeah, that happens. This is particularly so in the Middle East, North Africa, and East Africa, where the availability of fresh water is less than 1,300 cubic yards per capita per annum, which means per person per year. Water-rich countries such as Iceland, New Zealand, and Canada enjoy more than 100 times as much. Irrigation can be particularly wasteful use of water. Some citrus-growing nations, for example, are exporting not only fruit, but also so-called virtual water. Oh my gosh, that's interesting. Which includes the water inside the fruit, as well as the wasted irrigation water that drains away from the orchards. Many individuals and organizations believe that water scarcity is the major environmental issue of the 21st century. I have never thought about the fruit itself is full of water. And so if you ship it away, that's interesting. Never thought about that. Huh. Well, all right. History. I think that might be it. All right. What else? Do we have anything else? I mean, we can take a look in here in the handy dandy book of cultural literacy. But I'm not sure. I don't even know what to look up in here, honestly. Let's see. Water table, walking on water, water everywhere. Didn't I just say that? Watered stock, water gate, water softening, water pollution, water in hot water, don't mix oil and water, water, blood is thicker than. Okay, well, we'll look at the water table, I guess, for right now. 506. 506, 501, 2, 3, 505. Okay, what does this say? It says, water table. The depth measured from the surface of the earth at which underground water is first encountered. Okay. Well. Oh, it has some clouds. All right, hold on. Let's see what the clouds are. It says a stratus cloud. Stratus cloud. Clouds. Low clouds that stretch over large portions of the sky, creating overcast conditions. Here's a nimbus. All right, we're going to have to do a video just on clouds, I think. But let's look up the... Here's Cirrus. I'm going to have to learn how to correctly pronounce all the cloud names. Oh, well, whatever. Okay. All right, guys. Well, let's set this down here so that I can set this down here so that I can close this up. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, you guys. So do you remember what order they go in? It goes evaporation to condensation to precipitation to collection. So it evaporates from the ground, it condenses in the clouds, it rains down back on the ground, and it gets collected back into the water table and the oceans and the lakes and the rivers and the plants, the mountains and the trees, and it seeps into the ground. And then, over time, it evaporates back up, where it starts to cling together into the clouds. And eventually those clouds, because of cool or warmth or weight of gravity, it creates rain that precipitates, condenses and creates rain, gets moved from place A to place B, and this place gets left with not enough water, and this place has lots of water.